There's a very famous coach called Dan Sullivan, who's called the strategic coach. Don't know if you ever come across him. He's pretty much out there in terms of entrepreneurs. To go on his program, you need to be earning a certain amount. But he specializes in entrepreneurs. And guess what his background is? Working with actors. Because actors are around performance. Sport is around performance. Actors and sports people have one thing in common. They both want to get into the flow state. They both want to get into the zone. Yeah. So great coaches, in my opinion, it's only my opinion, doesn't mean, other coaches agree, but in my view of the world, if you can help someone step into flow, whether that be for seconds, minutes, moments, whatever it is, but when people are in flow, then incredible things happen because then they're performing at their best. So an actor doing some incredible scenes is in flow. Michael Jordan, when he was, playing, was in flow. Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing, that is amazing. How do you find actors generally?
I was going to say challenging. Not all of them are challenging, but idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
Idiosyncratic, but individuals, very, very much into their individual expression, their individual view of the world.
Yeah.
I like actors.
I found a new respect for actors when I became a content creator because I realised how hard it was to speak on the spot.
Yeah.
And to act in that way, on the spot, essentially.
Yes.
Is a fucking hard skill set, right? Really hard
skill set.
So, as a coach, when you look at that, is there like a method to get them into that state, or can some people just like snap into it?
It's interesting. I did a podcast a few months ago. I won't tell you with who. It's a friend of mine who's an actor. And I was really surprised because he does the best Robert De Niro that I've ever seen. I mean, he really is good at the Robert De Niro impression. And I had to really push him to do it on the podcast.
These shoes.
Was that Robert De Niro? Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I thought it might be Stephen Graham. But what was interesting is that he was very sort of hesitant of showing off, which is surprising because you think actors want to show off.
Yeah.
But generally, the actors that I've worked with so far, I've found them to be brilliant to work with because they're performers.
Yeah.
And it's, they know what it takes.
Their kind of job depends on the level of performance that they give.
Yeah, and their level of performance is the degree to which they can enter into flow. Because the more you're in flow, the less self-conscious you are.
Yeah.
The less you're thinking, the more you're just being it. You're being and doing it.
So how do you find the film industry generally?
I find it fascinating. I've always been fascinated by it because you've got the mix of creativity and finance.
Is it as mad as it seems from the outside?
I think so, yeah. I think so because you've got such a mix. You've got a contrarian mix. You've got money and you've got creativity and freedom. And you can't do anything without the money. And you also need the creative people as well. Yeah. So it's this fusion, which is really fascinating.
Is there a big discrepancy between sort of, is it like a small percent eats up a lot of the percentage of money?
Yeah.
And then
that's pretty much
like you get a lot of staff and actors.
Yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah. That's how I see it.
So in terms of working with them sort of people, do you find it challenging? Like, do they find it challenging financially to maintain that sort of lifestyle?
Yes, the ones that I know, because we're talking about, it's like footballers. Majority of footballers don't earn thousands a week. Majority of footballers are part-time or semi-professionals, just making a living. It's the same actors. Yeah. It's the same with actors, cameramen, directors. There's a lot of them around.
And when you look at even like the tax system in business, like in this country now, I mean, you got 1% of the ultra rich paying 30% of taxes. So surely, like even like digressing a little bit, but even the country should probably make it more appealing to these super rich people to come to the country, not discourage it.
Yes.
But what you'd end up with is, someone said this, I can't even think of it, I've seen it on a podcast or a video or something, that the UK generally is a very poor country attached to a very wealthy city.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, same. And like you see it, like, I mean, I was down in London a few months back, and even just the general busyness of the place. And coming up here, it seems dead almost, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and that, like, Liverpool's like bustling.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it seems dead.
Yes.
Compared
Yes.
to when you go to London. So noisy. Like, not like physical noise, but like just like the stimulation central, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's always something happening. Like,
Definitely.
no matter what way you turn.
Definitely.
So it's like, I don't know, like, because I'm not an actor, but I suppose it's really hard to just sort of like be around it and maintain that lifestyle, right?
Well, you say you're not an actor. We're all actors. We're all performing. We might not think at the moment. I might not think, oh, I'm performing, but we're both performing now, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we've got a mic in front of us and we're looking to communicate.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, podcasting, to me, like, I've got this prediction that in like 10 years' time, everyone will have a YouTube channel. And even like the likes of ITV and Channel 4 and the traditional like sort of broadcasting channels will be digital in that sense.
I agree.
Because the way, I mean, the amount of people I'm speaking to that are giving up their TV licenses, just not paying it.
Yes.
Basically, I'm not saying that defunding the BBC, but essentially defunding, the taxpayers would rather spend 24 quid a month for a family subscription on YouTube than pay the TV license.